Pie today. I have all-purpose flour. I'm going to put 1.5 cups in my food processor, and I have 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar and a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to blend this for about 15 seconds. I'm going to add 12 tablespoons of unsalted butter to my processor. That's 1.5 sticks of butter. And what I did is I chopped it up into pieces, into chunks. Put that in the food processor. Now I have 8 tablespoons of vegetable shortening. It's called Crisco. And I'm going to cut that into chunks also. You can buy it now in sticks that are pre-measured or are measured for you, which makes life a lot easier than trying to scoop it out of a tin. So I'm going to let this go for 15 seconds now. Scrape the sides of our bowl. Now we're going to distribute this evenly around the base. The unsalted butter and the vegetable shortening were in the refrigerator until we used them. I have 1 more cup of all-purpose flour that I'm going to add to the food processor. And I'm going to pulse this about 5 or 6 times. I'm going to transfer this to a large bowl now. And you'll notice that it's crumbly. I have some ice water. It's 1/4 cup of ice water. I'm going to add that to this. And I have some chilled vodka. You want 1/4 cup of chilled vodka. And add that. We're going to mix this until it all sticks together. Next, we're going to get out some plastic wrap. We're going to divide our dough in half. We'll put half of it on the plastic wrap. And we're going to make a 4-inch disc with it. And then we're going to wrap it tightly in plastic. Do that with the other half. And then we're going to refrigerate it for 1 hour. Put this in the refrigerator. We're going to cut up our apples now, and I have 2.5 pounds of Granny Smith and 2.5 pounds of Golden Delicious. You want a blend of tart and sweet so that you have a more balanced flavored apple pie. I like to use a paring knife instead of a peeler because I have more control over how much, and I just get the skin off. Whereas with a peeler, it would take a lot more than the skin. Then we're going to slice them up. Here's our 5 pounds of apples that have been sliced up. To that, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of granulated sugar, 1/4 cup of packed light brown sugar, a tablespoon of lemon juice, 1/2 teaspoon of lemon zest, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're going to stir this up. We're going to set our temperature at medium-high. We're going to let it cook for 15 to 20 minutes. And we're going to cover it, but we need to, we're going to cover it, but we need to stir it frequently. You want to get the uncooked apples that are on the top and the cooked ones from the bottom to the top so that they all get cooked. And we're only going to cook them until they are still firm, but you can get a fork into it a little bit. Okay. Test one of these with a fork. They're still a little on the firm side, which is what we want. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer it to a baking sheet that has a ridge to it. So we're going to pour juice and all onto our tray or onto our baking sheet. Make sure it has an edge because you want those juices. We're going to spread it out. After it's cooled out in the room temperature for 15 minutes, we're going to put it in the refrigerator for 30. I have the chilled dough in the center of my surface, and we're going to start in the middle and press out, and we have to keep flouring our rolling pin, and we're also using a floured surface You're going to very gently roll out your pie crust to a 12-inch circle. Once we have it rolled out, we're going to gently roll it onto our rolling pin so we can transfer it to our pan. And you're going to gently, very gently press it down on the bottom. We're going to cover it with plastic and let it chill for 30 minutes in the refrigerator. Be absolutely sure that your dough is very cold. If it isn't, it's going to stick to your roller when you try to transfer it, and it'll stick to your surface, your floured surface, and it'll really be a mess. It must be very, very cold. If it takes more than 30 minutes, that's okay. After you've rolled out the second piece, we're going to again transfer it like we did the first. And this time we're putting it on some parchment paper that is lining a baking sheet. We're going to cover it with plastic, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator for 15 minutes to chill. After I take the apples out of the fridge, I put a colander over a bowl, and I'm going to put the apples in the colander to get the juices out. We want to save some of the juice because we're going to be putting it on our pie. I've got a quarter of a cup of juice that I got from the bottom of the bowl. Now I'm going to spread my apples into the pie shell, and you're going to heap it in the middle. We're going to pour our juice on to our apples. We're going to take our other pie crust and lay it on. Pinch the edges. Get the excess off. If you do it between your fingers, you can make kind of a little pretty edge to it. And then in the middle, we're going to put 4 slices about at 2 inches long. And the reason we do this is to let the steam out. We're going to do an egg wash, which is egg white that we're just brushing on. And then I'm going to sprinkle a tablespoon of granulated sugar over it. Then we put it in the oven at 425 degrees for 25 minutes. We're going to turn our oven down to 375, and we're going to bake it for another 30 to 40 minutes. It's been 30 minutes, and this is how it looks. It should be bubbling. As you can see, it bubbled out, and the crust is nice and brown. Now we're going to let it cool for 2 hours on a wire rack so that the fruit will set. Put it in your windowsill and drive your neighbors crazy. We want it out of the pan so it cools faster.